Hello everybody and welcome into another edition of the KSR Weekly Roundup. As always, I'm Brent Wainscott. As always, this edition is brought to you by Justice Dental, and oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start. So it was an absolute meltdown of a week for Kentucky basketball in absolute all phases. First, they go down to Missouri, lose 75-70, and then they come home to take on Tennessee and looked really good for just about 29 minutes before getting outscored 21 points down the stretch. And now Kentucky is 5-12 through 17 games, and it looks like it's going to come down to the SEC tournament for this team to even make it to the big dance. Obviously, something has to change. Us Kentucky fans hate losing to Tennessee. And as much as we don't want to admit it, Rick Barnes owns Coach Calipari. Tennessee has beaten Kentucky 7 of the last 10 times, 3 of the last 4 in Rupp Arena, the last 2 being absolute late-game meltdowns, and let's not forget, this guy right here has beaten Kentucky 7 times in his collegiate career. Let that sink in. This man has contributed for 7 wins against the greatest program in college basketball. Now look, you don't need me to tell you how bad the meltdown was. You've probably heard everyone else say it or you watched it yourself. For some reason, Kentucky just folds under these pressure situations, which is so weird considering they have guys like Keon Brooks, Davion Mintz, Jacob Toppin, Olivier Sarr, guys who have been here before, and for some reason it's just not clicking with this group. Now look, now all the focus has to be on the SEC tournament. An at-large bid is probably down the drain after 2 losses to ranked teams. Speaking of ranked teams, Kentucky is actually 22-23 since 2015 and 16. I'm not saying it's a coincidence, but I'm also not saying it's not a coincidence. But it's definitely a coincidence. Now look, I know everything's probably going to be fine next year, and look, this season's not completely over yet, but we can't ignore the fact that this is the worst start in 17 games in school history. Not only is it the worst start, it's the worst start by 3 games. Kentucky is 5-12, and this is a team that we thought was going to be a Final Four contender back in August. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. The season's not over with, but let's hope Coach Cal can start figuring this out because the patience is running thin, and before you know it, we're going to be back in another summer and another March without our Kentucky Wildcats playing in the NCAA tournament. Now over to football. Kentucky got a massive signee on signing day. Fringe 5-star Trevin Wallace committed to the Cats on Wednesday, being one of the best recruits in the Mark Stoops era. Freddie Maggard thinks this guy is going to be the next star in the blue and white. Throw in the fact you got Jared Casey, J.J. Weaver, Justin Rogers on that defense. And the front 7 for Kentucky over the next few years is going to be nasty. Now, Trevin Wallace is a versatile linebacker who can play any position in that linebacking room. He also ran for 300+ in his final high school game, so the dude's got speed. And like I said, Freddie Maggard thinks this guy is going to be the next great one. The same way he felt about Josh Allen. In fact, he even said this is the best tape he has seen for a Kentucky commit ever. Let that sink in. Freddie Maggard said this kid has the best tape out of any Kentucky commit he has ever seen. You can read more on Trevin Wallace and what Freddie, Adam, and Nick have to say about the French 5-star commit coming in to next season. And a little bit of a self-plug here. I had a 1-hour-long sit-down interview with former Wildcat Chris Matthews. He talks about his unlikely run to Super Bowl stardom back at Super Bowl 49. He talks about his time at Kentucky and beating South Carolina, playing for Joker Phillips, and he also talks about who he would take one-on-one, his teammate Randall Cobb or the other versatile Kentucky legend, Lynn Bowden. You need to check that out on the KSR Football Podcast. And of course, it's Super Bowl Sunday. That's part of the reason why we're doing this early. Mike Edwards will try to become the first Mark Stoops Kentucky product to bring home a ring, and he will do so with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers as they face defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes' kickoff is at 6:30 on CBS, and we are all rooting for Mike Edwards to finally bring home a ring for the first Kentucky player under Mark Stoops. That's all the time I got for you. As always, I'm Brent Wainscott, and as always, stay safe, mask up, and go Cats. Have a good week, everybody.